November 2005, a 20-year-old hacker named Jensen James Ancheta, aka Zombie King, was arrested in an elaborate sting operation orchestrated by the FBI. This occurred 6 months after his 16-year-old partner, Sobi, had been apprehended by the same federal authorities in his family home in Florida, which finally put a stop to their botnet army. Between 2004 and 2005, Sobi and Ancheta broke into hundreds of thousands of computers. They did this through the use of botnets. In this video, we will take a look at how the infamous Zombie King and botnet army made a grand introduction in the early 2000s, and how the Zombie King also had a rental website for botnets, which we will find out more later in the story. But to find out more, we must rewind this story to the origins of the Zombie King and how he came about. Jensen James Ancheta, the man who came to be known as Zombie King, was born on April 26, 1985. He attended Downey High School in Downey, California until he dropped out in 2001. Later on, he entered an alternative education program for students with behavioral or academic problems. Ancheta did not have such an eventful life, but he did have dreams for the future. According to his family, he wanted to join the military reserves, and from time to time, he took up little jobs to make money. One time, he worked at an internet cafe, and then sometime in June 2004, he ventured into something else that would fetch him money, albeit illegally. This was the use of botnets. After discovering RxBot, a common computer worm, he saw the potential of the software in spreading his net of infected computers. Ancheta got his title as Zombie King due to his modus operandi of running and controlling a network of infected computers manually. Basically, once a malicious software was installed unknowingly by unsuspected users, these devices could be controlled by Ancheta himself. He would then use the compromised machines to send spam, launch web attacks, and engage in cyber extortion without the user ever knowing. So what exactly did he do to make this possible, and how did it work? In June 2004, Ancheta stumbled on the computer worm known as RxBot. He discovered that the malicious code was designed to easily spread across vast computers through the internet. It had a lot of cool features, and he found it easy to use and customize. Upon making this discovery, he proceeded to secretly hack and hijack thousands of computers nationwide. For the record, he didn't discriminate with his victims, as he attacked not only households and businesses, but also military servers. Ancheta's life spiraled after he had seen the tempting effects of botnets as well as the profits it earned him. But how was one young man able to pull off such a massive cybercrime with one malicious software? Jensen Ancheta was the master of hacking in his prime. He did not even hack systems to get credit cards or crash networks for personal gain. Instead, he maximized the use of botnet technology like no hacker before him. However, even with all his hacking abilities, he couldn't pull off this entire scheme alone. He had a partner, and this was a 16-year-old boy known by his alias, Sobi. The young boy hailed from a town in Florida. He quit school at a young age and spent much of his time coding in C++ while engaging hackers in IRC rooms. Along the way, in August 2004, he met Ancheta, who hid under the nickname IR Resilient. This meeting marked the beginning of a turnaround for the young teenager and his partner. Sobi admired Ancheta for his professionalism, working spirit, and honesty. Many people in the channel had lied about their profits from the bots they had, but Ancheta was not like them. He had even provided receipt and screenshots of the sizable botnets he had under his control. This factor drew Sobi to Ancheta. Over time, their relationship grew stronger, and they did not bond over business only. In fact, they had become so comfortable with each other virtually and so confident in their hacking abilities that they would leave their digital imprints through graffiti in vulnerable sites before leaving. When they finally switched to business, they focused on growing Ancheta's botnet army to be more than 400,000 computers. Ancheta enlisted Sobi's help in his new scheme, which now involved installing adware on the botnet army of infected computers and using them to generate pay-per-click affiliate fees. In this new scheme, they signed up with several online advertising agencies such as Loudcash and Gamma Entertainment of Montreal. With time, their business model became a big success, and in about 6 months, they had made more than $60,000 in profit, a feat they never knew they were capable of achieving just months before. Both parties were all too aware of the illegal nature of their business, and they, especially Ancheta, recognized the reading of this moral compass. This was illustrated in an online chat session between both hackers where Ancheta reportedly told Sobi, "It's immoral, but the money makes it right." Regardless of his sentiments, he was not about to stop. Instead, he widened his empire, as well as his reputation in cyberspace. Ancheta created a website to rent out his infected computers, offering guidelines on how many zombies were needed to crash different-sized corporate websites, and what was the cost. At least 10,000 zombies for 4 cents each. He rented or sold bots to at least 10 clients. The 20-year-old hacker later grew to become a high-ranking member of the Botmaster Underground, a network of hackers in dark web communities. But how long could he manage his budding empire while escaping the law? By some stroke of luck, the FBI stumbled upon the chat room where the web price for Ancheta's bot was listed, and they proceeded to launch an investigation thereafter. When they had gotten enough information on the hacker, they had agents pose as potential clients and had them buy some bots. After gaining their trust through this purchase, the agents asked Ancheta to drop a site, which he obviously did. Immediately, the FBI tracked it and raided his home in December 2004. Unfortunately, they were not able to catch him, but they could, however, confiscate his computer. After the first raid, Ancheta was back on the internet within a day. Not even the FBI being on his tail was enough to keep him from lining his pocket. The young hacker, along with his partner, found renowned courage in the raid to continue with their botnet activities like before. But what they did not know was that the FBI was also fueled with the same level of conviction. The federal agents had never stopped monitoring the two hackers and were steadily building a case against them. The one thing that made their job a lot easier was the fact that Ancheta was still inadvertently advertising on the Bots for Sale channel. From this point on, the duo's business was slowly clouded with a number of flaws that they were completely unaware of, but the FBI had caught the minute they noticed it. Aside from the issue of Ancheta naively advertising online, there was also the problem of bugs and backdoors. Apparently, the RxBot software was soon filled with bugs, and because of this, and so it does not disturb the workflow, the hackers set their zombie machines to look for and infect computers on nearby networks automatically. Due to the aggressive nature of RxBot, it compromised the servers of federal agencies like China Lake Naval Air Facility, the Defense Information Security Agency, and the Sandia National Labs. Since these domains had .gov and .mils in their servers, botnet attacks raised suspicion quickly, and the FBI made their move immediately. Then, to make matters worse for the pair, Sobi leased a server using his real identity. This, along with the other aforementioned mistakes, made it extremely easy for the FBI to crack down on Ancheta and Sobi. It was not long, therefore, when they went into action with the pieces of evidence they managed to gather from these naive mistakes. Ancheta and Sobi were in for the shock of their lives, or at least one of them was. One fateful day in May 2005, the 16-year-old Sobi had what he thought was a normal day, until a swarm of FBI agents stormed his family's 3-story house in Boca Raton, Florida. Prior to this raid, he had sustained injuries to his arm and leg in a motorcycle accident, and as a result of this, he could barely run with his injured limbs bound in a cast. Sobi was arrested easily. While this was going on, the FBI were making another move in the Los Angeles suburbs of Downey, California. For the second time in 6 months, FBI agents had raided Ancheta's home with a search warrant. They were able to disarm the servers that Ancheta and Sobi were using in May for their business schemes. This effectively put him out of business, but unfortunately for the federal agents, Ancheta managed to weasel himself out of this raid and arrest like before. This didn't last for long. Months later, in November 2005, the 20-year-old hacker was captured in a sting operation planned out by the FBI. This arrest was a part of Operation Bot Roast, which was an elaborate scheme of the FBI to track down bot herders, virus coders, or crackers who install malicious software on computers. As expected, Ancheta managed to earn his place in this network of cyber criminals, and the federal agents were finally successful in bringing him to book. That fateful day, Ancheta was lured to the FBI's local office on the pretext of collecting computer equipment. He was apprehended and slapped with 17 felony charges related to his business of using and selling botnets. Ancheta admitted to selling the botnets to other people who used them to spread distributed denial-of-service attacks. Additionally, he divulged that he had made $107,000 in advertising affiliate payments for downloading adware on more than 400,000 infected computers that were under his control. On May 9, 2006, Ancheta pleaded guilty to using malicious code to infect thousands of computers and creating numerous botnets from infected systems. In addition to that, he pleaded guilty to 3 other felony charges. He was sentenced to 57 months in prison, had to give up a 1993 BMW and forfeit over $48,000 in profits. Also, the 20-year-old hacker was to pay $15,000 in restitution to the US government for infecting computers belonging to the military. As for his teenage partner, there was a twist in his own story. Being a minor at the time of his arrest, he was not going to face real charges in the actual sense of things. Instead, he was put on a probation period pending the resolution of the whole case. But even with this grace, Sobi still put himself on police radar over the next several months. He continued with the scheme he had built with Ancheta on his own, even when he saw that his partner was in federal custody facing 17 felony charges. His status as a minor fueled his impunity as he felt invincible before the federal authorities. Well, he had maneuvered one arrest before, and he was still not caught after he continued during his probation, so any teenager would feel safe and unstoppable at this point. But as they say, all good things come to an end. Sobi's grace period was gradually nearing its end, and the young boy never saw it coming. It eventually happened in February, 7 months after Sobi turned 18. The young hacker pleaded guilty to 2 counts of juvenile delinquency related to his use of botnets. He was sentenced in a closed-door hearing, so not much about his case was publicized. Plus, the actual sentence was made confidential because Sobi was a juvenile when he committed those crimes. But later on, it was said that his plea agreement suggested a jail term of 12 to 18 months. This marked the end of one of the most notorious hacking schemes ever created, or did it? Ancheta's 57-month sentencing shook the channels and chat rooms of his fellow bot herders. Many, including Sobi, expected that he would be served a fine or probation at most, but not a 4-year jail term. This put a sense of fear and insecurity in their minds, that they were not entirely safe in their easy and lucrative business. The arrest of Sobi along with other hackers in their field further cemented this fear and sent a loud and clear message. Federal agents were very much on their case and would be at their doorstep the minute they saw a window of opportunity. From that time on, users were sensitized on ways of preventing zombie computer attacks, especially through the use of firewalls, up-to-date antivirus softwares, and other security checks.